friends. I am Alexandria Nicole, and welcome to the Empower Hour. We are here today with the beautiful Michele. Pronounce your last name for me, darling.
Ciardullo.
Yes. No,
It's not an easy one.
it's not. When you see it on paper, too, you're like, I'm going to butcher this, and I don't want to do it. So it's the show meant to inspire, motivate, and most of all, empower our guests. And today we are joined by the wonderful Michele. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Michele. Who are you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And
Absolutely.
it's a pleasure to be here and an honor.
Thank you.
And about me, well, obviously, Michele, I've been in real estate for 18 years. I am a luxury home specialist and co owner of Team Denver Homes, which is an all female boutique real estate team. We are a top producing team with Remax professionals, and I'm super proud of that and the women that work with me.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. So we're going to start off with our series of questions. Our first question is tell us an aspect of your work that you are most passionate about.
Oh, so I feel like over the years, it's changed and evolved. Um, when I first started, what I was most passionate about is helping my clients achieve their goals. Whether it was like their first home purchase because they're so excited and they want to know everything about the process and like just teaching and having them understand and learn, or if it was finding their dream home and kind of moving to the next level, or even that phase where they were downsizing and their kids were off to school and kind of starting like a new chapter, new adventure. I loved being a part of every aspect of that. But I have found myself in the last 3 years being part of Team Denver Homes is what I've really been passionate about is mentoring and mentoring the girls on my team. I had a really amazing mentor, and I started with a company that was kind of the best of the best. I was considered the newbie for like the first 10 years. I mean, I was like, do I get to retire and be like, like move up the ranks? But they hired, top producing professionals. So I just right place, right time, made it in the door. And I was super grateful and learned a lot from my mentor. So, over time, it was only natural that I wanted to, provide the same to someone else. And that was a little different for me. It's ended up being a team. What I found is I'm really good at selling real estate. I'm really good at people and figuring out the whole process on that side. In the beginning, it was kind of an adjustment to manage people and to be a mentor, kind of putting on a different hat and a different kind of patience and a different kind of challenge for myself. But over time, I've really learned to love it. And every time one of the girls on the team succeeds or has a win, like I feel like it's my own personal win too. So that has really been something that my passion has grown more and more and more over the years. And I hope I can continue
Oh,
doing that.
I love that. And when you
Mhm.
think about people that are in real estate sales, you don't think about you are tapping into people in various aspects of their life. Like it didn't even resonate with me until you said you're dealing with maybe a couple and all of the kids are gone and they're downsizing, right? So you are helping facilitate like taking people through different aspects and levels and seasons of their life with homes. So do you oftentimes connect with people on that level when they are maybe have you dealt with anyone who's maybe sad about moving on from their home and you have to be their like emotional support agent too?
100%. And I think that that's what's made me so good at this business is I've always been a people person. I'm kind of that empath, right? I can feel the energy. I understand. And there's been several situations where it's extremely fun and they're buying their dream home and upsizing and want, the pool and have the ability to do those things. But I've also been in so many of those situations where, they're heartbroken that their kids are moving on and, they've been empty nesters for, 2, 3, 4 years and they have a large home and it's just not necessary anymore. So it's, trying to find the next chapter and what they're going to look forward to. I mean, I've represented many people in divorces, which is, not fun, but
Yeah.
trying to give them, the confidence to make a good decision and also, be their rock in a time where they just are uncertain. So that is one thing that I've learned. I mean, like through real estate, people think, you put on a pretty dress and get to show beautiful homes, but there's so many aspects to it.
Yeah.
When I sit down with new agents, the first thing they do, they're like, "Can I pick your brain?" I'm like, "Of course, this will take all day." But what people don't realize is how hard real estate agents work. And I mean, we are available 24/7. I answer my phone on a regular basis to my clients. I've had people so happy. I've had tears. I've had screaming. Sometimes when you're going through an emotional process, you don't realize it's not the best version of yourself. And it's stressful. So, my goal is to take as much of that stress off their plate. And I feel like when people are most stressful, it's because they don't know, right? Or they don't have that confidence. And so I always feel like it's our job to give them that reassurance and give them the confidence. And through, how you do that is just provide knowledge. You give them knowledge. You talk them through the process. You talk to them about what to expect. You get them excited of what to look forward to. And regardless of what that chapter is, just really kind of, every chapter is a new chapter, an opportunity to learn and grow and better yourself. And I'm a firm believer that, everything happens for a reason. So
Absolutely. So you said that you're with an all-woman firm. Was that
yes.
intentional, just like women's empowerment, or did you just attract a bunch of women into your space and that's how it materialized?
That is a great question. So we, at one point in time, had a male agent and he was fantastic. He ended up moving out of state because his mom was a luxury specialist in Arizona. Um, But after we had a male, we just attracted females. I've not had a single, man. I think that's not true. I'm sorry. I've had one man apply and he just, we look for the right fit, the right energy. We're a hardworking group. But the difference between our team and other teams is we truly collaborate. So there is not a moment that I don't share everything with my team. Everything I'm doing in my personal business, any outreach I have, my success, even even situations where I don't feel like I was successful, just so that we can all learn about it. Because I feel like there's enough real estate for all of us, right? And I think that the ship rises with the tide, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the saying? So we've just attracted some really amazing, strong women, and I've really liked that, and I think our goal is to kind of keep it that way for now.
You know what's interesting is I came across your page like maybe 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and it was the beautiful picture of all of the women standing there.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't realize there weren't any men. I was just so captivated by the beauty of all these women in business together, right? So
Mhm.
it's interesting that it's like you don't really think about it in that sense. You don't feel like there's anything missing
Yeah.
because you women look so empowered and so affirmed in your femininity, and you're like, yes, we're selling houses.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I mean, your picture was just giving me all kinds of energy, and I was just like, I love
Oh,
this.
I love hearing that. And
Yes.
when we first started the team, my brother and I were talking because I was interviewing agents and I was giving him some feedback on some interviews I had. And he looked at me and he was like, Michelle, you're expecting people to be like you. Why would you want to hire several of you? And that hit me so hard because I was like, you're right. Why would I want? I mean, I want women from all areas of life, and I want women who represent different, you know, cultures, different places, different, just in general, just different, energy. And so we found a really dynamic group of women who are just none of them are alike. I mean, there are just really salt of the earth, very this, very that. The one thing that they all are is they all are extremely hardworking and they all hustle. and they all care about each other and are very genuine and excited when we succeed. We have a big group text on WhatsApp because that's just easier because our team's grown, large now, larger, I should say. And every time someone goes under contract or every time someone has a closing, I mean, it's continuously like hyping each other up, saying congratulations. And it's really fun to see everyone on the team be truly happy for someone else's success.
Oh, and I love that too because oftentimes when you think of a female dominated environment, unfortunately in the back of our minds we also that kind of resonates with like tension or competition, and that goes back to the glass ceiling, right? Of there only being space for one or two women, so it creates this energy of like animosity, or if I have to be on top, therefore I will tear you down to get there because there's only so much space. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yep.
So you in your female dominated business and in your line of work, you are empowering beyond even housing sales. Like
Mhm.
I need you to understand that, Michelle, is that is
I love that.
beautiful what you're doing,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
cultivating that energy and showing that we can uplift each other and empower each other and have each other's back. I'm about to cry, but
But it's true. I mean, at the end of the day, I think there's enough space for all of us. And it's important for us to build each other and continue to build each other and uplift each other and empower. I mean, that's what this is about, right? Empowering others. And for me personally, there just isn't room for drama. There isn't room for us not to love and appreciate the differences. I mean, at the end of the day, I tell everyone on my team, I'm like, listen, who works with you, the people that are going to work with you and hire you are going to be like minded people who appreciate what you bring to the table. And they're never going to be my clients. They're never going to be clients of Michele because they're fans of Andrea Moore or whomever it is, like they love, I think that like attracts like. So if
Mhm.
we can have some women on our team that are, different and have different strengths, then we're going to take over. We're just going to attract so many more people.
Yes, that's so good. And it shows that companies that embrace a more diverse background and don't solely operate with people that are just like them or like minded, they tend to be more successful because you're bringing more perspectives to the table. You're
Yeah.
in a better position to brainstorm and collaborate and have different ideas. And then you're creating a bigger advantage to tap into different demographics, right?
And a
So
bigger
that's from,
impact,
yeah.
right? Like a bigger impact to our community. I mean, we're still looking for some more agents on our team, and we have three languages represented. We have a full, I mean, obviously English, but we also have Hebrew, and we just hired a Spanish speaking agent,
Oh, wow.
and it brings a whole different group of clientele to the table.
Mm.
And I think that when we're raised in different areas of life, we can bring a different set of skills, a different set of understanding, and it's almost like, I mean, Moore is who I own the team with, and she's from Israel. She speaks Hebrew, and even just the two of us, given that we were raised in different homes, different cultures, different religions, even how we communicate, we've learned so much from each other. And I think that she's helped me grow for the better, and I'd like to think that I've done the same for her too, not just as real estate agents, but as leaders, as women, as mothers, um, as just fixtures in our community.
I love that. So how long ago did you open the company with More?
So it was about 3 years ago in November that we teamed up and decided to move forward together.
And you're
But
expanding
but she
exponentially.
has been bugging me about this since 2016. Um, and it's really interesting how we met is, we both worked at the same real estate firm, and I had never met her before because she was with a different office, and I had never really heard of her before. And I kept seeing her name everywhere. I saw her all over social media. And I am one of those women that, like, if you're doing something right, I want to know about it. I don't feel threatened. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to say, good job. Teach
Yes.
me. Teach me. I want to learn. So I called her and I said, More, you don't know me, but I keep seeing your name everywhere and we work at the same company. Can I take you out to lunch? And that was kind of the beginning of a very, very cool friendship and obviously business partnership, because we both kind of had that moment of vulnerability. She's like, this is what I do well. And I'm like, awesome, because I don't do those things well, but I can do this really well. So can we do this together?
Yes. Oh,
And
so
it
many
was just,
wonderful, wonderful relationships cultivated around food. I love it.
oh, for sure. Therapeutic.
So, are there any community outreach initiatives that you're a part of right now, or maybe in the past that you really loved and helped shape who you are, or you just loved contributed to that space?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. Well, 100%. I've always been a part of Cancer League, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later. But Team Denver Homes has recently partnered. This is our second year partnering with the Lion Project. And the Lion Project is a local Denver charity that accelerates nonprofit growth through storytelling with videos. So every 3 years, they pick a new area to focus in on. And this is our third year focusing on the local foster care um, section, which has been really cool. And I've learned a lot about it. We have usually 4 service days a year, which I guess we had one April 1st and 2nd, and we partnered with Colorado Kids Belong. And what we did is we were able to go into a active foster care home and help them remodel, rebuild, clean up the space, repaint, replace doors, fixtures, and just kind of give the house a little facelift. And it was really fun because we got to meet the foster parents, the children that are in the home, and really make a difference right then and there. We also give back to the charities and provide support. But one thing that I learned is through videos, if a child in foster care has the opportunity to introduce themselves through video, they have a 700% more chance of actually being adopted into a family. And I mean, those statistics are mind blowing if you think about it. 700% more chance of being adopted. And
Mm,
so it just, it gets, it touches my heart. That's for sure.
yeah. Well, you definitely need to let me know more about that because,
Yeah.
like I was telling you about our GC company, if we could come and help, and my husband's
Oh,
good.
that would be awesome.
That would be really wonderful to come down to Denver for a few days and be able to contribute in that way.
Our next service day is June 24th and 25th, and
Okay.
we are always happy to take donations. We're always happy to accept volunteers. The Lion Project really does a great job of, keeping everyone informed and saying this is where we're going to be and this is what we're going to do, and then they capture it through video and kind of tell the story, and it's cool. I mean, when I first met Zach with the Lion Project, it was more along the lines of video production. But the more I learned about the Lion Project, the more it was something I wanted to be involved in. And so as of January, I accepted a board position, and I've learned a lot, and I'm super excited to continue to spread the word and see it grow and make an impact. There's so many charities that reach out and want donations. And, I'm always happy to donate and give back. Well, sometimes writing a check just it
Mm.
doesn't make the same impact. I mean, it does. It supports financially, but I think when you're able to get your hands dirty and see how much of a difference you're making in that moment, it's truly impactful.
There
Um,
is something different about being in the room, right? About connecting with the people on a direct basis, the people that you're fighting for. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I did a protest for the situation happening in Ukraine.
Mhm.
And I was out, my buddy, he's Ukrainian, and I was the one with the bullhorn, and his only initiative or our aspect for the day was to raise awareness. That's all he wanted us to do, right? And it was these, I was out there for maybe 3 hours and I was like, okay, I'm losing my voice and I have an event tomorrow. So
That is amazing. Good for you. And that's a
but
good friend right there too, to respect what his wishes are and work towards
oh,
that common goal.
but it was great to be in the space, but it wasn't until it was two older Ukrainian women who came up and they were crying. They were almost hysterical. And they thanked us all for even caring, for even being out there, for that, for choosing
Ooh, that just gave me chill bumps.
for
Mhm.
choosing to sacrifice a little portion of our Sunday to stand with them, right? So it's different when you participate in what it is that you believe in and you can see the people that you're impacting. So
And
I
just like I said,
understand the
just
difference.
a little piece of your time just went so far and touched so many lives.
Right.
Um, Last year, the Lion Project did a Father's Day barbecue, and it was for men to be reunited with their families who were recently incarcerated. And, in the beginning, when they told me what it was, I think I was a little nervous. I didn't know exactly what to expect. And
Right.
I'm telling you, like, I walked away from that event with tears in my eyes, like seeing these families come together and like hug each other and hold each other, and so grateful, like so incredibly grateful. Grateful for the food, grateful for the time together. We took pictures, we did water balloon fights, we had activities throughout the day, and it was just the love was really cool. I mean, and it was everywhere.
It
So
was
fun to
real.
be a part of it. It was so real. It was so real. And listening to their stories and where they came from, the challenges that they had, obviously, some of them very different from the life that I've lived or the life you've lived or anyone else. And just like hearing their stories and where they were today was just so, like heartwarming, empowering, and just like, every single person's story was so different that it was interesting, and it made an impact and left a mark on my heart for sure.
Oh, and you're
So
saying the Lion Project, like the animal, the lion?
The
Okay.
Lion Project.
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
on Instagram. Feel free. I would love it if you guys
Yeah.
would follow. And if anyone wants to volunteer, our doors are always open, and the more the merrier.
Oh, absolutely. Connect me with whomever we need to
Yes,
talk to
yes.
so that we can talk about coming and participating in June.
I would be more than happy to do that. That's so
Yeah.
awesome of you. It would be
Yeah.
fun to see you too on a service
I
day.
know, to like see you in the light too.
Yeah, right?
So, what would you say inspires you? That's a loaded question, right?
Oh gosh. I mean, so many things inspire me, but when I was reading this question, the first couple of things that came to mind is I think what inspires me most is passionate people, and people that have like so much passion for what they're doing or the cause they're related to or their work or their family. Um, I think, like that moment where you see like the athlete achieve the final win, and they're like tears and like the heart, the blood, the time, the energy, the devotion, the sacrifices that they made to get there. I think that's what inspires me, is like at
Mhm.
the end of the day, like laying down and just being like, I gave it my all, whether
Yeah.
you achieved it or not, just showing up and doing your best. And
Showing up is half the thing, girl. Like, so, you know,
yeah,
that's
it
half of the
is.
task is just showing up.
Mhm. And I think what inspires me about that is even more like the people that show up and ask questions. Like they're the ones that they may not agree with me and we may not have similar ideas, but if you ask the questions and you think about it and it's thought provoking and you're passionate about it, whether I agree or not, there's something to, I mean, that inspires me. That
Mm,
whole space.
mm. Would you say that you're completely surrounded by passionate people? And do you have the bandwidth to deal with people that aren't operating from a passionate space?
I would say yes. I make a goal of surrounding myself with passionate people. But as I said before, I think like attracts like. And you're absolutely right. I don't have time or space for people that don't have it, you know? And it's no disrespect. It's just, you know, sometimes you're just not in the same place, or you're not in, I think through life you have like those peaks and valleys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
am I passionate all the time? I mean, I'd like to think I am, but I have my moments too. And sometimes it's just not in the moment. So I can say right now, my life is filled with a lot of passion. And I'm very happy for that and grateful for it too, because I think other people's passion fuel my own.
Mm.
And it's
Oh,
kind of
that's
like a
so
high
good.
that you ride together.
And being intentional about who you keep around you is so
Yeah.
important, right? Like I homeschool our daughters, and one test that I've
Oh
done.
my gosh. Go you.
Did you know
That takes some passion right there.
we've
And
homeschooled for
patience.
5 years? So
Have you really?
we've homeschooled
That's
for a while.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
one of
think
the
I would,
tests that I did,
I
what'd you
don't know if
say?
I would be able to do that. My kids would kill me.
Well, again, the passion. We want to raise some character driven, purposeful girls, and we really want to have our hands in building who they are character wise. So that
Yeah.
was a lot of the reason behind that. But one of the experiences I had with my oldest daughter, she's 12 and baby's 5. But I did this experiment with my oldest one. I took a rotten fruit and I put it beside a completely ripe banana.
Mhm.
And within a day, you can see that the rotten fruit starts to affect the ripe fruit, right? And I'm like, this is an example
Wow.
that should stay with you for life. You
Mhm.
have to be careful about who you surround yourself with, because if someone else is rotten or toxic and they aren't willing to be accountable or identify their own toxicity, you can end up withering, being just in this person's proximity, right?
That's a powerful lesson, and what a great way to teach it.
I'm visual,
Like
so
a
so
visual, you know, the visual effect that I'm sure will stay with her forever, because it's so true. I mean, I think throughout life we know that, but we always kind of have these moments in time where we find someone that we're putting too much energy into, or an area that, you know, you are letting kind of pull away from the potential that you have. And sometimes it's hard to cut that off, and it's hard to say, you know what, this isn't good for me, or this is not the energy I need right now.
exactly. So we're teaching that young, so it's a part of who she is.
It's
So
difficult, but 100% necessary.
oh yeah, yeah, it's necessary. I'm hoping that
Well,
that
and I
lesson
think that it
will
comes
bear
from like
her.
self-love too, you know, like if you love yourself and you respect yourself and you respect your space and your energy, you're just not going to let it be taken in a negative
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. And it's really about practicing discernment, right? And evaluating who you allow in your space. So, we practice this with evaluating friendships. And then as she gets older, she'll obviously evaluate partners in the same way. Like she'll go for play dates and we'll be like, so how did you feel about that person? Well, they had these great traits, but I didn't like this about them. Okay, let's give them a few more tries and see how you feel about them. And then
Mhm.
she'll be like, we do 3 trials with play dates, right? So by the
Mhm.
third time, I'm like,
That's what people should do with dating too,
come
as
on, girl,
adults.
come on now. She'll be like, I don't think this person's a good fit for me, or they're a good person, they just have a few flaws. That way, we're evaluating that person's character before you get too emotionally involved, and then it's hard to pull away, like you said, right?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that she will keep that same outlook on life and apply that to friendships, partnerships, business matters. I hope it stays with her. That's the objective, but
Yeah.
what can you do?
Well, I mean, as a parent, I think we all try to do the best we can with what we have, right? And as time has gone on, we evolve and we learn more, and you know, we learn from what our parents taught us and how we were raised, and we just try to do better every day.
Yeah,
Like just do better than yesterday. Today I'm going to do better than, you know, last week. That's
that's
the hope,
right.
right?
And celebrating the wins along the way.
Right. Celebrating the wins and like learning from the setbacks, you know, and
Mm,
appreciating the setbacks. I think you have to appreciate the setbacks.
Yeah, so that's excellent. That's a wonderful segue into our next question about failure and about how you view failure. What's your relationship with failure?
Well, I mean, I've had my fair share of failures, most definitely. But I think without failing, you never really know how sweet the success is. Um, Without, it teaches you grit, it teaches you resilience, it teaches you passion to move forward, thinking outside of the box. Um, and sometimes you have to pivot and change direction, and that's okay. And sometimes, what you define success or what you think of success evolves and changes through the situation. And so I've always been there's a quote there's a quote by Gina DeVee, and that was one of the questions I think that you're going to ask. So I'm going to kind of jump ahead to it. But she wrote The Audacity to Be Queen, which is a fantastic book. And one of the things that she wrote is, on the other side of rupture, we find our radiance. And I
Mm,
think that's a really powerful quote and something that resonates with me. You know, everything can't always be great, because then you don't appreciate great. You don't know what the opposite of great is.
oh, and I love that quote because it's so synonymous with how we view failure. We feel like it is a complete polar opposite of success. You hear failure, you don't think it's paired with success. You hear rupture, you think it can't be paired with radiance. But really, they're business partners, right? Like you
100%.
cannot have
100%.
one without the other. You have to break certain aspects of yourself in order to achieve the radiance or get to the greatness, right?
100%. I think that's why I love that quote so much, for exactly the reasons you said. Is like, some of the most successful people, we never hear about their trial and error, and trial and error. They probably failed 100,000 times before they reach that success. And that's something that people don't always talk about, or they don't see. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I think we've all seen it, that picture of the glacier, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
people only see what's above water, but everything else below is what really, kind of built that glacier.
Oh yeah, and the perseverance to get to the point where you only see the success, right? You have no idea about the stress up under the water.
I mean, that's a conversation that I have with my kids on a regular basis too, is, you never know what people are going through. And
Mhm.
just because on the outside it looks like they're living a great life and they have this and that and the other, like, you also don't know what they had to sacrifice and what they have to do daily, or the struggles that they've gone through, or how many times they heard no before they finally got the yes. And so for me, I think really coming from a place of no judgment, like coming from a place of just admiring the beauty and admiring where people are at that time of their life. And just, it kind of goes back to every day, be kind. That is, I think for me, one of the, biggest lessons I hope to teach my kids is be kind. It doesn't matter if you have nothing, or it doesn't matter if you have everything. Like, everyone deserves kindness.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. And oh, yes. Just yes to everything.
I love that answer too. Yes is
I've
great.
been, I'm thinking of so many things, and there's just too many thoughts to create a statement. So I'm just gonna go to the next question. But I really love everything you
Well,
said.
and also, like, for me, I think, just to wrap up like the conversation on
Yeah.
failure, what failure would look like in my personal life is if I decide to stop growing and if I decide to stop learning, then I think that would be what I would equate to failure. And
Oh,
everything
Michelle.
grows in the dark. So you have to shed light on it, and you have to water it, and you have to continuously grow, learn, and evolve.
Yes, and also too, what you just said brought it to the forefront that failure itself is subjective. It's
Just
based.
as success is, right?
Yes,
As
yes.
success is. My success is gonna be different than your success, is gonna be different than the next person who comes along. And who am I to judge whether you're successful or not? Like
Yes.
that's something that
Yes.
we get to decide within for ourselves,
Oh, put that on a t-shirt, Michelle. That's
right?
good.
But it's taken me a long time. I think it's taken me a while to really understand that and be comfortable with it because early on in my career, I was so driven to be number one, number one, number one, number one, number one in sales and to have things. I grew up, very middle class. I didn't do without, but I also didn't have. And so I think for a long time, that's what was my driving factor. And through life experiences, I've learned like that's not what success is for me now. I've redefined my success and I think I continue to redefine it every year, as my kids get older, as my kids, I have a son who's graduating high school. And so, my success this year is going to look different than my success next year and the year after that. And understanding that and embracing it and being okay with it, I think is something that comes with age and maturity. And if I could have found that out earlier, I would have. I wouldn't
We
take
all
it
wish we
hard.
had shortcuts to the lessons we've learned, but some things just have to be wrote out.
Yes, they do. Isn't that the truth?
So in year 2022, how do you define success? What does that look like for you?
So 2022, my success is my success always is based on my balance, right? If I can live a balanced life, then I feel like I'm very successful.
Mhm.
And my balance every year changes. And this year, obviously my family, my friends, my team, and myself are all extremely important. And kind of figuring out what that balance is and what that looks like is is important. So to answer your question, 2022, I think just spending more time with my kids and realizing that I have a son who's graduating high school that I just want more time with. He's going
Mm,
to college next year, and I have a daughter who is a freshman in high school. And remembering how quickly high school went for my son, and just really, really like smothering her with love because I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And as much as I'm excited for them to move on and spread their wings and grow and kind of start their next chapter, it's bittersweet.
mm,
So
yeah.
I
So was
love,
that your year? Was that your word for the year? Was balance?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think my word for every year is balance.
Mm,
Um,
yes. Yeah.
and it's very tricky to figure out what the balance is because I know you can't pour from an empty cup. So
Mhm,
how much time and what do I need to give myself and
mm.
provide nourishment to myself so that I can be a better mother, a better mentor, a better leader, and a better real estate agent for my clients. So,
Yeah, isn't that funny how each year balance will look different or
mhm.
whatever journey you're on, you're constantly having to pivot because it's a different moment in life. And
Yeah.
I think I realized that when my daughter was young, that once I got used to one stage, we were on to the next. So
Yep.
it's like the minute that you're like, oh, okay, nope, we're on to something else now. That's how
Yeah.
life is, right? Like, even
Right.
in terms of being a business owner, once you get comfortable in a certain aspect of your business, no, now it's on to another stage. Now it's growing. Now you have to market in a different way. Now you have to communicate in a different way. You have to add to your team in order to be more efficient. It's
Mhm.
constantly, it's ever changing.
Yeah. And I think this year, well, really over the last couple of years, I've really been trying to give myself a little bit of grace because I'm a type A personality. I'm an overachiever. I'm extremely competitive. I mean, I want to show up and be the best version of myself in every aspect of my life. Um, but realizing that if you could just take a deep breath and give yourself a little bit of grace and appreciate how far you
Mhm.
come and where you are, it's extremely important. And I
Oh,
knew I wasn't really good at that before. I didn't realize how important that was. I was constantly like hard on myself, like, you can do better, you can give more, you can wake up earlier. There's, like, take on more, do more, which I
You
love.
wake up one day and you're like, why am I so tired?
And then everyone looks at your schedule and they're like, duh. And you're like, well, I can put one more thing on there. I can do one more thing.
I can do one more. Oh my gosh. The power hour that I had earlier today, she was talking about how she had a doer personality. And
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I completely agree with that. And I completely understand how if you have 13 things on your plate and you're like, I got this, I can do 15 things, and you just keep kind of compiling.
Yeah. And I think as women, we tend to not know how to say no as well as
Mhm,
men.
mhm.
I'm certainly guilty of it. So I've always kind of been a yes person. So learning how to say no and learning how to pick and choose and honor how I feel and honor what space I need to be and show up, is essential. And it's
Mm.
essential to success and essential to my success now.
Oh, I saw something that said no is a full sentence. And that changed my life because a lot of times I'll say no and then I'll go into an excuse.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I can't make this event because dot dot dot.
Mhm.
Actually, I respectfully decline.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
No is
don't
a
have to.
full sentence with a period.
Yes. I
Mhm.
don't have to go
And
into
it's
my
not
life.
rude, and I think that there was a point in time in my life where I struggled with that sentence because, I wanted to be an overachiever. I wanted to say yes to everything. I didn't wanna let anyone down, but at the end of the day, to fill up your own cup, you need to just say no sometimes.
You have to say no for
Mhm.
to preserve your personal sanity, but to also make sure that you're not aligning with things that don't really align with you just because you don't want to disappoint somebody.
Yep. I
Right?
completely agree.
Yes.
Completely agree. Mhm.
Yes. Oh, women,
That
we
should be a t-shirt.
Oh, so okay, I think you answered this question though, but you have a book that you'd like to suggest? Something as a personal tool or a personal development. First of all, you should write a book. When is that
Oh,
coming out?
well Team Denver Homes just wrote their first book on investing. We
Yes.
all did our own chapters, which was fantastic, and it's actually self-published, and we should have it out in the next couple months.
Excellent.
But personally, I don't know. I've always kind of toyed with the idea of it, and hopefully someday it's
I
on the
can
bucket
see you on
list.
the cover, your beautiful self and your gorgeous headshot.
You are very
People are like, I
kind.
don't even know what this book's about, but I'm gonna get it because she's glorious.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So what
Well,
was the book that you
when I
named?
write a book, you're getting
Yes.
the first copy.
You heard it here first,
Yeah.
folks. I'm getting the first copy. So what was the book
Signed,
that you
sealed, and
mentioned
delivered.
earlier? You said it was a book that was really great for you. What was it called?
So I mean, I'm a firm believer in knowledge, and I feel like knowledge is power. So we always push to read a ton of books. Team Denver Homes has a book club, and every month we pick a
Oh,
different book to read and focus in on. A lot of them are, empowerment, self-help, how to get better, how to do better. Um, and so one month, oh, actually, I don't think that this was a Team Denver Home Book Club. This was one that I've just recommended to several girls on the team. It's The Audacity to Be Queen. And
that's what.
it's by
Mhm.
Gina DeVee. And she's fantastic. I follow her on Instagram. Um, a lot of things about this book resonated for me and really, really hit home. I mean, even just in the title, The Audacity to Be Queen. I mean, I
Mhm.
think the boldness to kind of put on that crown and wear it and feel confident and just, I don't know, there's something about even the title that makes me like want to sit up straight and be a little bit more poised. Yeah, I have the audacity to do that. It's like I'm
Yeah,
gonna do that. That's who I'm
I
gonna
am
be.
a
And I'm like,
queen. How dare I
uh-huh,
take
uh-huh.
that
And
time?
also too, for other people, like I've recommended this book to several girls on the team, and I want to be like, here, let me straighten your crown, and you are a queen. Like
Yes.
move into your space and acknowledge it and believe in yourself because you have all the pieces right there.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Um,
Capacity to be queen. So is it, does the book talk about finding or tapping into your personal strengths, or like what is the kind of core message of the book?
100%, 100% is tapping into your personal strengths. And um, there was a quote that I wrote down, and where am I? I can't even read my own handwriting right now. Um, okay, so one of the quotes that I love, love, love that she says is, "We have the power to turn our wishes into non-negotiables." And it's just kind of talks a lot. It has these quotes that just really resonate with with being powerful and being comfortable in your own skin, and really kind of putting a plan in place and allowing yourself to be great, allowing yourself to never like sink down or little belittle like what you stand for, and just comfortable in your own skin, I think is
Yeah.
the message. And the author does a great job of kind of breaking that down in different scenarios in different ways, and really just motivating and inspiring women to kind of wear it proudly and
Oh,
embrace who you are. And it's beautiful.
yes.
And I think that there's beauty in imperfection, right? I mean, we hear that, but we really need to believe it in ourselves.
Mm, oh, that's so good. And that was my word for this year, was authentic.
Oh, I
And
love
it
that.
it was about, for me, it was about aligning myself with people and opportunities and corporations that don't don't put me in a box or make me feel as if I have to be someone other than Alexandria, right? Like I don't ever, in order to become what how I view successful, I don't want to compromise who I am and my calling and how I add value in spaces in order to fit in. Because true leaders, we're not about fitting in. That goes against everything we stand for. It's about showing up who we are authentically. And I
Yeah.
don't want to be in a room that I have to be anybody other than me to be welcome in that space, right?
And there's something I love that. 100% agree with it. And there's something about being authentic that gives you so much power,
Mm,
you know? But I understand, and I think I struggled with this early on when I was younger, is being authentic requires vulnerability, and it requires you to kind of let down the walls and let people in. And it's so important to really showcase your authentic self in that capacity. And it's sometimes not easy to do.
oh yeah, yeah.
It
It's
takes a
very
strong
hard.
person to let down the walls and to really let people in and see you for who you are, and accept, the compliments along with the criticisms.
Mhm.
And, like my mom always used to say, take it with a grain of salt. And that's something that I've always, stuck with. Like, some people are going to love you and some people just aren't. And that's okay.
Yes, but at least they don't. And I think that's where the discomfort comes from with being authentic and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, is you kind of feel like you have a little bit of an armor if you show up wearing different personalities, because you're like, well, they didn't like that version of me. But if you show up your authentic self in your true flesh, and then somebody doesn't like you in that aspect, then I think we fear that rejection of who we actually are.
Mhm. Mhm.
But we have to also realize is that everybody's, like you said, everybody's not going to like you. One person might not like you because you reflect something that they are not allowing themselves to tap into, a level of positivity, a level of beauty, a level of self-worth. It may have literally nothing to do with you.
And
It
it
may
usually
be,
doesn't.
yes.
It usually doesn't.
Right.
Usually it 100% doesn't. I mean, if you think back to every time that someone dislikes something about you, or a time where you felt that, usually it's like insecurity, or it's that green-eyed monster kind of creeping up.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. we have to be who we are, and we have to value ourselves, and you can take it or leave it.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, like my goal is always to make a positive impact, to leave
Mm,
something better than I found it. You know, and if I walk into something, a situation or a relationship or a friend, whatever it is, like if I walk into something, I want to leave it better than I found it. And if
mhm.
someone's not happy with that, then that's on them. That's not on me.
Yes, I love you so much,
Oh
Michelle.
my gosh. I love you too. Let's do this every Friday night.
Oh, I love it. So, did I ask you what was the greatest lesson you've ever learned? Did I ask you that question?
You didn't ask me that
I
yet,
don't
but
think so. Yes.
I think that this kind of what a so the greatest lesson I ever learned was so in 2016, my life kind of changed in one day. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And it was one of those moments where, like, I felt good. I was just tired. But when I went to see my cousin, who was my doctor, everything changed in that moment. And it was very eye opening. As I said earlier, you know, at the beginning of my career, I was so obsessed with being successful. And I defined success as being number one and being number one in the Denver Board of Realtors, number one in my company, the most sales. And I think um, I did that so well. It impacted my friends, my family, my life, my health, and I kind of became someone that I'm not my authentic self. You know, I saw the goal at the end of the time, or I saw the goal and I wanted to climb that mountain, and I think it was really ego driven. And through cancer and through chemo and radiation and multiple surgeries, I really learned that I don't have control of everything. And that type A personality had to take a back seat and kind of do a lot of self reflection on what my priorities were and how I wanted to live the rest of my life. And really made me reevaluate the things that I held close and in that space. And so it made me open my eyes to my family and just really what that balance key was for me at the time. And I mean, when you hear that diagnosis, you're like, that doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen to me. It was 2 weeks before my 35th birthday. I sure did not think that that was going to happen to me. In fact, I was kind of in that room being like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And my whole life changed in a moment. And really not taking for granted our health and giving back and taking care of yourself. And not just, I mean, I worked out every single day. I ate really well. I still do, but it's that mental health. It's,
Mm.
those things that, and I love your story and I love what you did with your girls about the rotting fruit because it's so true. I mean, I just was not in a good place and I wasn't in the best environment for myself. And I was just holding myself to expectations that I don't think are very realistic. And it impacted every aspect of my life. And
Mm.
so I always say, people are like, oh, that was so hard. And I'm like, you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened to me because I learned so much about myself. I learned about who I am, who I want to be, who I want to continue to be, and how to just kind of embrace life a little bit more and like live it to the fullest.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy you're still with us, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh my,
Thanks.
and I'm
I'm
glad that it
happy to be here too.
yeah, I'm glad that it was something that ultimately you learned from and you grew from, and it was just a moment, and now it's gone hopefully. So what was the when you were diagnosed, what was the time span between the diagnosis and like your clean bill of health? I know that when you have cancer you have to consistently keep an eye on it, right? But
It was
when you kind
about,
of breathe deep because you heard what you needed to hear.
yeah, it was about 2 years from beginning to end. Um, but I also am so grateful too because as much as I'm a giver and I give, 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 and it was a time in my life where people that I gave to and that I loved so much really had to step up and be there for me. And man, it was people in my industry, outside of my industry, my friends, my family. Like, I couldn't be more grateful and thankful for the people that I've impacted, because I mean, they made a huge impact on me. And they were totally, I'm going to get emotional now too. I mean, they were there in a time of my life where I didn't think I needed anyone, but I needed every single one of them.
Oh my goodness. And typically, as a giver, I don't know if this is the same situation with you, but for myself, I have a hard time receiving.
Oh, for sure. Or asking for help. I think
Yes.
that sometimes when and I can't speak for males, but as a female, like, asking for help almost feels like
Weak.
I can't do it. I can't do it all. And so, like, I'm like, nope, I can do it
Yeah.
all. Watch me. Hand me my cape and move out of the way.
Right,
And so
right.
it was a tough time in my life to ask for the help and accept it.
Oh, yes. Even when you had cancer, you still had that mind frame of struggling to receive.
Yes. I mean, it was
Wow.
uncomfortable for me. It was a place that I hadn't been in before, and um it wasn't natural because I'm a doer, and I'm the one that people go to, and I like that about who I was at that time.
Mm.
Um but, someone said something to me. They're like, "Wouldn't you do that for any single one of your friends?" And I'm like, duh, of course. Of
Yeah.
course I would, without even hesitation. And I'd be upset if they didn't accept it. And so it's funny when she turned it around and looked at me and was like, hmm. And I could see the wheels turning. And I'm like, fair. I hear you. I hear you.
Guy,
I got you.
gotcha. Read your
I
thoughts
see.
there.
I see.
We have to be better about accepting our
Oh,
own advice, right? It
hmm.
is challenging though, and it's actually something that I'm working on now is accepting and not the need to always be the giver, but
Yeah.
allowing myself to be taken care of as well. Like with my husband, like when I'm sick, I'm like, I need soup. Like I have no problem asking my husband for help, right? But it's like people outside of our immediate family circle. Like I struggle with that, and I think it's rooted in like deep trauma of being perceived
Why do
as
we
a
think that if we ask for help, it's a weakness?
I don't know.
Like, if there's one thing that I could train my brain, or even give to my kids, is like, asking for help should be a strength. It should
Mm,
be something that people admire, and it should be someone, I mean, like, when you ask for help, or if someone asks you for help, what do we say? Of course. What
of
can I do?
course.
Of
Yeah,
course,
I'm there.
100%. And
Yeah.
so for us personally, like, it should be something that we're not equivalating, or doesn't equivalate to
The
to weakness.
weakness.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw this post the other day and it said, um, I'm the type of person that will call 911 and be like, "Hi, how are you? Are you all right? I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm going to get an ambulance." Right? How's your day going? And I'm over here with like one less leg, and I'm concerned about how the 911. You know what I mean? Like
Yep,
just always be in
100%.
that space of caring and giving. We have to be better about receiving too.
We do. We do. Oh my gosh, that is so funny, but so true. Like,
Yeah,
I see it now and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I get it."
totally get it. So the last question of the day is, what is your favorite candy?
Oh, I I love hot tamales, or
Really?
anything with dark chocolate. Anything with dark chocolate. You put dark chocolate on almonds, you put dark chocolate on toffee, whatever it
Mm,
is, but
yes,
I'm a sucker
yes.
for hot tamales.
I am the
What is
only
your
person.
favorite candy?
Mine is chocolate.
Oh, yes.
So
Milk chocolate,
my
dark chocolate, or
I love dark chocolate, which I'm the only one out of my family who loves dark chocolate. So when my kids get like the assorted bag of chocolates for
you win?
Halloween, I'm like, and I will take all of these dark chocolates because my husband, my kids, they're not here for it, but me, I want all of it. But
Yeah.
my favorite candy is a seasonal candy. It's chocolate covered cherries. Do you
Oh,
know
I love
those?
that. We went in Napa. We went for a 40th birthday back in the day, and there was this little winery, and their specialty was dark chocolate covered cherries, and it had
With a little bit
salt
of,
on it.
yes.
I
Did
mean,
it have did
I
it have
bought
wine in it?
bags.
Did it have wine in it though?
No, I don't think it did. It was just
Oh,
sold at a winery, and
it was just delicious.
they paired it with wines. But I'm
Oh,
telling you, I would have I mean, the bags. I bought bags of them, and I would not even share. And I'm a sharing person. I was like, "No, get your own.
you were like,
You
this
take
is
a step
my
back."
bag.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Were they
Mhm.
milk chocolate or dark?
Dark chocolate.
Oh,
Mhm,
yes. Next
mhm.
time
I
you
can
go
eat
to
them
Napa,
again.
you need to bring me a bag of those
It's been
chocolates.
a while, but talking about it makes me wanna go, like, now.
That sounds wonderful. Oh, Michelle, thank you so much for spending time
Oh,
as this hour has
thank
flown
you
by.
so much. It was so great being here, and thank you so
Yeah,
much for allowing me to just chit chat. And it's
absolutely.
obviously a huge honor to be a part of Inspire, Motivate, Empower, because all of those words are extremely important and resonate with me personally.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And thank you to everyone that is watching.
Yes, thank
So,
you all.
yes, I do hope that within this hour that you were inspired, motivated, and most of all empowered. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Friday. Until then, be blessed.
All
Bye,
right.
Michelle.
Thank you. Bye. Have a great weekend.
You too, darling. Bye bye.